Just voting ain't gonna solve our problem.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of Houston right here at UHN-TV. And we are thankful. I'm just got to say thankful anyway. Grateful as well. My name is Dr. Clara Brent, and the co-host is Dr. Bobby Mills. We are so interested in what's happening in our society and in our country today. And we hope and pray that you will consider understanding what's going on and not be too downhearted nor too stressed over what cannot and what we can and what we cannot change. Dr. Mills, we were discussing a few minutes ago, so I'd just like our audience to hear what you had to say in regards to voting. Why is it so hard for everyone to really get together and vote, especially in the race, our race, who has practically given up on voting, simply right here in Texas, I'm sure. And don't forget to go to your internet, onevote2022.com, if you don't know exactly where you can vote in November. And also, we're having a voting now for the HCC
trustee position.
Yeah, district, sitting on the bench or something like that. We're not saying who to vote for, but just go and vote and pick the right person you think would be good for our HCC people to represent us in the college. Now, don't forget, we do need to vote in November. It is important to vote in November. Do not sit at home and don't vote in November.
Because your very life might depend on it.
And that is the truth. Doc, you were talking in regards to why we tend to not vote collectively the way we once did. And you elaborate on that.
Really, prior to 1964 and 1965, the central focal point for development, spiritually, economically, politically, etc., was in the black church. And once we experienced the system taking the signs down, white only in 64 and the Voting Rights Act in 65, we forgot the old landmark.
Sure.
Because everything as a group of people, a society of people, the focal point for it was in the church. And your religious leaders obviously were different, much more different than they are now. We may as well be honest, because now we have a lot of religious leaders who are dealing with the whole concept of prosperity. It's about money and materialistic empire building and all of that, and not spiritual development, human development, community development.
True.
You know, back prior to 64 and 65, the people who were your community leaders, they were the pastoral leaders.
Of course.
And politics and community development, economic development, and all of that, it was in the black church.
Yes.
And it had a spiritual foundation to it. It wasn't carnal-minded. Now we have so many carnal-minded individuals, both in terms of secular politics and supposedly religious leadership, until you can't count them. You know,
Right.
you go back prior in the day, you had religious leaders who stood for something. They wasn't saying Lord, Lord and running with the devil, or saying Lord, Lord and driving a Mercedes, without knowing how to say, Lord, have mercy on me. I'm a sinner,
Right.
and I need to receive Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. So we have a different set of dynamics taking place in the black community now, and we have gotten thrown off. And because we are thrown off, our children are growing up without a God conscience.
There is no foundation for them, tell the truth.
Right.
And they need
In their home.
they
in
need
the
a
family.
foundation, period. From the home, everything begins in the home and then spreads abroad.
But the church begins in the home.
Yes, everything begins in the home, tell the truth. But
Right.
and then it spreads abroad, and now we've lost that family connection the way it should be, and it kind of works on our children's minds because they have to
Well,
really
the carnal
almost
mind
fend
is
for themselves.
imitate to God. You know, we just have too many carnal-minded individuals.
Exactly. And
Well, look at what's going on right now. The best example in terms of even politics. Look at what's going on right now in Prairie View, Texas.
what's going on in Prairie View?
Prairie View is a college town.
Yes, it is.
It is 70 or more percent black.
Right.
Maybe 28, 29% Hispanic, and probably 1% or less white.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 5 black people on city council and a black mayor, but you got a white female who is the city secretary, controlling the agenda and the processes of city
Really?
government. And you have a white lawyer who drives from Austin
All the way to Prairie View?
to Prairie View to conduct the legal business of the city.
You kidding?
And the recent mayor,
That's pitiful.
the recent mayor, Ron Leverett, who was the mayor back some years ago, was elected duly in a Democratic election, and they have locked him. They locked him out of City Hall. He can't get the keys
That's pitiful.
to get in City Hall. Now I'm laughing because
I know what you're talking
it's
about.
so sad until it's pathetic.
It's jokerly that
Because
they
you're in
would
a
that
college.
the people even much in Prairie View would allow such a thing to happen since that has
The
changed.
taxpayers who are
Yeah,
black.
yeah, who are black allow such a thing to happen since they are
And the sad part about it is
they paying the taxes.
you have the third most prestigious HBCU in the community. You got one of the most prolific, stellar presidents of any HBCU, Ruth Simmons.
Right.
And them people down there, they need to go and have a leadership development session
With her.
with her.
Now that is
With
true.
all that kind of
but the
craziness.
students are not involved because
Well, it's a
the
poor
students
example.
allowed. Wait a minute. May I ask you this?
Yeah, the students at Prairie View can vote. If
They
you,
can vote,
if
okay,
you
because
claim-
when I was there, they wouldn't even allow us to
Well, if
vote
you
because we
claim-
had to live there for a
if you
certain length
claim
of time.
Prairie View as your residence.
Well, we did. We had
You
a
know,
fight.
you
We
can
had
vote.
a big time
And
thing
the
going
students-
over that, and
students can vote.
finally, we got that dissolved that we could, as long as you stayed there more than 8 to 9 months or something like that, you could do. You could sign as a resident and then vote. Now, what are the students doing? Because they're not involved as well because they are citizens there, you know, and they should be active like they ought to be active
Right.
and not just look at their grades and whatever they are trying to accomplish to be successful. The issue here is that you cannot be successful by yourself.
Well,
It takes a group of people And as they say,
you know,
it takes
that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
and it takes a village to get things done.
Right.
And if the village does not work together, it'll never get anything done.
Well, I tell you what, it's one thing we do know.
Somebody need to get with the students. The students are not advocate enough in the government, understanding how government work. And if you can't get the government to work with you, you sure don't want them to work against you. And that's what's happening.
One thing we do know, Dr. Brent, is Jesus was the most powerful human being, divine and human, to live on the face of this earth. He had all power from heaven and on earth in his hands. But when he got ready to do the will of the Father, the will of God, what did he do? He went and recruited 12 men to
and
assist.
some women. Don't forget the women. We're not going to forget the women.
Well, that was the disciples were men.
The disciples were okay. We're not going to argue with that one, because I get too far into it with you.
Right,
I'm gonna let you go on with it.
Well, but the point I'm trying to make is this.
Go ahead.
He did not go out and try to accomplish the mission of God that God had ordained by himself. He could have, obviously, because he had all power in heaven and on earth. But he got 12 individuals to do what?
To help him work. That's what
and to what? Promote what he was doing, because before Jesus went anywhere, he sent what? Someone or some individuals before him to do what? Prepare the way and to promote what it was that he was trying to accomplish in the lives of people. And when they came back to him, the first thing he asked them, what are they saying about me out there? Because he wanted to know whether or not they were carrying the what? Correct message that he had received from the Father to people. So he didn't try to promote himself. He used what? Other people. Because when they even tried to say, well, you think you, he said, well, who is the greatest?
Where are we going with this with Prairie View, though?
Well, where we're going is you got a city that is predominantly black people paying the tab. And you got a bunch of confusion going on. And at the top of that confusion is a white individual or somebody white.
But they still They still have left out the students, the educating students that they are educating, and I don't understand why the instructors, professors won't get involved in teaching their students how to really be a citizen. And since they are there,
if you are a resident, or if you could be,
they are residents there, and they need to find out. It needs to be some veteran or someone that is used to engaging in warfare.
Spiritual warfare.
Yeah, spiritual warfare.
Now, don't say warfare, because we're not into
No, we're not into killing anyone.
That's somebody else's game.
No, we're not into killing anyone. We're into moving.
Peace.
Yeah, moving in the situation that is causing chaos out of the way, and it's no way possible that this is supposed to happen in an all-black community. That should not happen at all.
Well, it's a very poor example.
Yes. Now, a spiritual warfare is necessary in any arena. However, I don't know how many ministers. I know one minister came from Prairie View, was here on the show, and was explaining his role as a
in terms
a
of
spiritual
development of students.
guidance for the students. Now, I don't know how many other ministers are in Prairie right now, but they need to get together. The ministers need to get together to show a spiritual togetherness, so that they will have some followers that will also want to be spiritual and go against what is causing this chaos that should not even be. What you gonna do? Locking out the mayor of the city like two nuts.
Democracy locked out.
Yeah, just locked out.
Donald Trump style.
The Donald Trump style. I'd be happy when his style goes out of style. I tell you that much. Right now, I just to move from that subject to our economic things that are happening in this country. I know it's all over the world, but right here where we live, it seems to be getting out of hand. We don't know whether we're going to have a depression to follow what is happening now, but we have too much of an increase. I'll put it that way. Too much of an increase.
No, we got too much greed.
Well, we have too much of an increase in greed.
Yeah.
We got too much of an increase in greed, and the greed is eating our pockets up. The greed is eating our pockets up, and it especially in the gas at the gas pump. I'll put it that way. At the gas pump, we are being ate up.
Yeah, we're at
and the grocery stores,
a gallon now.
Even though it's $4.65. It's almost close to. It's almost close to $4.70. I know the diesel has gone up to $4.79, and the gas for regular car, just regular, is $4.65. It's about the cheapest one you see if you're traveling the highway. If you're traveling inside the city, you might find one that's for 40 something, $4.49 or something like that. But the issue here is, why is this happening? And how can we combat it? The people have to change the situations. It's either through voting or striking.
The only way we can change the situation is
by striking. We need to strike something. Strike from going to the grocery.
Less driving as you possibly can by just doing the minimal. Go to work and go to the grocery store, and that's it.
And don't ride the airplanes. Just strike. Stop riding the airplanes. Going on vacation. Stop the vacationing. Let them know. Let the government
take a vacation with God.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing. Let the people in the government that is over the government, that should not be there in the first place, but they're there, and it seems as if we can't get them out of there. But it's because there is a section of our human love and caring for one another is not there. And because of that, we're having a hard time keeping the bad folks out. And they are sitting there like a hen on a nest, and causing much confusion and much heartaches and much pain from not being able to buy food for your household, or not being able to buy gas to go to backwards and forth to work, and not have anything else. So if you're going to do that, just strike with them. Let's strike them out. Don't go to the airport. Don't fly any planes. Don't go on vacations. And if you're going to want to have a recreation, do it in and around your home, in and around your community. You want the children want to swim, go to the swimming pool. Let's not go running all 80 or 100 miles or 300 miles to go to a of the
Water
beach,
park.
water park or whatever. Leave all of that alone and say we just striking. Everybody need to strike. And when you go to the food supply, find out what you can buy that will help your family continue to be healthy. And
No, go in your backyard and dig
you'll
up some
have-
grass and plant you some vegetables.
that's a good thing too. You can start a garden anyway. We need to start striking against this government, the way they are acting and the way they are doing. And you're saying, oh, well, it's not the government, it's the big companies. Well, we'll strike against the big companies as well. Those that are over, because they're getting too much money anyhow, the way they are handling the affairs that they should be handling. It's just greed. They're hungry for nothing but more and more and more and more. And that does not satisfy the good of everyone, especially
Because
if
it's not the common good.
It's not the common
because
good.
It's about individualized power.
individualized
pleasure, and
power.
privilege.
You building your mansions and you laying back in your big time pool and all those other things and having the parties and all those and being happy.
And you don't
And
know.
then the misery all around you can't see. And
you don't
and
know
you're
that, like
causing
the rich man who.
and they're causing yes.
you know,
Causing
it's
the misery.
almost like the rich man who
Die.
got real happy and said, "Oh man, these bonds, they feel I'm getting all these crops and everything.
Everything, yeah, I'm
gonna
enjoying
tear
this."
these bonds down and build me some bigger bonds and store up more goods for myself."
Yeah.
And the death angel paid him a little bit and said, "Thou fool,
Now
this night your soul is required of you." Then who all this gonna belong to?
to whomever they leave it to, but they more than likely they're going to do exactly
Well,
what
it's not
they
going to
leave
belong
it
to you, because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
Of course, we know that.
And even
But they won't
your
know that
relatives,
until they
even-
come face to face with the Lord.
Yeah, even
They-
your
because
relatives are not going to
they-
let you take anything.
To
with
let
you.
them tell it there
and
is
they're going to
no
have to
Lord.
die and leave it to somebody too.
But the issue is that they don't know that there is a God. They don't act like there is a God, and they don't act like they got to come and before Him and receive the punishment for what they did not do here on earth. So we have to come together in the idea that there is a God, and He does not like what goes on in the hearts and minds of the people that cause confusion, discussions of want and need, and He is tired of it, and it's getting closer and closer to the time that Christ is going to return. And if you read your Bible, it's really, really close. And we don't know when that time is, but we know it's close. It's closer than we realize, because we got to look at the fig tree. And who is the fig tree? Israel.
Well, we sometimes want to forget that life is a swift transition. And
That's a song, too,
So
isn't
we
it?
like to enslave one another. And talking about enslavement, we know Juneteenth is coming up next week.
Yes, sir.
And it's
And Father's Day
time
too.
for us to celebrate once again the lack of humanity on the part of some who would deny the humanity of others. And even when they knew that chattel slavery had ended,
They kept
it
a
took
secret
them almost 2 years
to get here.
to inform you that no longer were you physically in chattel slavery, but prior, obviously, there were some people who were never a slave, like Kunta Kinte, because Kunta Kinte said, I know where y'all coming from, I know what you're dealing with, so I'm free
In the mind.
in my mind, in my spirit, and I'm gonna always be running from y'all.
As much as I
Even if
possibly
you cut
can.
my foot off,
As much as
and
I
I
possibly
can't
can.
physically run, mentally,
I'm still running.
I'm still running from you because I know where you're coming from.
And we must keep this in mind too, that it happened in Texas, right there in Galveston, Texas, when they got here to tell us that, because of course the word had passed, but they weren't, the owners, slave owners, weren't telling anyone. So it waited until the general came in and announced it in Galveston, Texas, that the slaves were freed. And that's why we celebrate Juneteenth. Now, Juneteenth is all over the United States now. Everybody celebrates because Texans moved to different parts of the country. And they still celebrated it because that's the day that we here in Texas heard, our forefathers heard that they were free, and they kept up the idea, they kept up the freedom,
the
system that we got to remember when we were free, and we're gonna keep everybody else remembering we were freed on June the 19th.
That we were free,
right here in Texas,
and the knowledge of our freedom was kept from us.
Exactly.
Physically.
Exactly.
Wow.
And
but some of us were free even when we were physically in bondage.
Of course we were. That's the only way we could survive, is that we thought free. We gave, we kept our love for each other, as well as the one that was saying, I'm doing everything for you. You just don't know what I'm really doing for y'all. I clothe you, I feed you, I do so and so. And that particular person or persons fooled themselves in believing that they were treating the people that they had put in bondage good, when they had no change of clothes, Holly, no shoes on their feet, no proper shelter. None of that was happening, but they still claimed that I was good to you.
Well, when you lack God conscience, you'll do anything.
You'll say anything too.
You're a ticking
and
time bomb.
And I just can't get over the commentator that I once heard on the radio saying, "Get over it." How in the world can you get over somebody beating up your forefathers? How in the world could you get over somebody causing you to continually be the lower of the lowest? And you never get from under that bondage that is still going on right now in the United States. Right now, there is a hold of bondage over the heads and of the black race of people right here in the United States, and this has not changed. I do not agree with that person that said that the Constitution was made for white people only. Bullocking. That Constitution was made by God, even though that white person who wrote it, which Jefferson, who supposed to have written it, he had no other choice to do what he had done. And since he had no other choice to do it, it comes from the people. If he had said the white people, that might have been the difference. But he said the people. And anytime you become a citizen of the United States, it's of the people and not of white people. Don't ever get that in y'all's head that that's what you are about. And it's wrong. And it's definitely wrong for you to think that you are better than the other race of people anyhow. Anyway. No how. You just don't do those kind of things. And especially the policemen. Y'all need to get yourselves together and pray. Policemen really need to pray.
On that note then, Dr. Clara, that God is good, and even when we are undisciplined and unkind to one another, God is still good.
Of course he is. And thank him for being still good, because he brought us from a mighty long ways. And so in turn of Juneteenth, for the black race of people, he has brought us from a mighty long ways. And we still got another long way to go. And we must stick together. We must do what we have to do in regards to letting others know, especially those that are prejudiced, in their heart, don't know who God is, and don't know that God wants all of us to love each other and care about one another. We need love, unity, and peace. Really, we do. And if you do that, God is our only what? Answer. He is our only answer, Doctor.
And hope.
And hope. So we look forward to seeing June 19th and celebrating, even though we might not have the kind of meat we would like to have, and we wouldn't have the kind of drinks we would like to have. But we can always make Kool-Aid and get some chicken, and let's barbecue and let's enjoy the time.
You can have the best kind of meat you want, because you can have a prayer meeting.
Oh, how about that? We can also have a prayer meeting as well, as Doc put it. Don't forget Father's Day now. We got some good fathers out here. That love their children and has stuck with their family and worked hard to make sure that they have something that they can look to and look back on, and setting up a way for them to be successful in life. And we want to remember those fathers. And we also want to remember the ones that are incarcerated and not supposed to be incarcerated. We want to remember you too. And let's keep our fathers in mind. As Doc once said, that the mother is the one that that shows the love. Is that right, Doc? Yeah. Mother shows the love toward the father with the children. And if that is the case, mamas, make sure you tell your children that your father is worth being the love that he deserves. And don't forget if he doesn't like flowers and no candy, go get him something like what he would like to have. Be sure you keep that in mind, that your father is the one that has given of himself. And now there's some selfish ones out there, but there's quite a few of them that are not selfish and love the family. Y'all take care. We love you. God loves you.